Hi and welcome to another story, and today we have part 11 of Ned and the Chocolate Cheats by Mark Jarvis, continuing from chapter 21, Tarsiers. "What is that?" I shouted, seeing a small shape moving out of the bushes towards us. "There are two more. Look, they're making a grab for your phone." Jeff laughed as he bent down to pick up his jacket from the ground. "It's so sweet. It must be one of those Tarsiers. Oh, it's no wonder we haven't seen one today. If they are nocturnal, then we are only likely to see one at night. It's a shame that we can't see the great Gabba tonight too," I joked. "Look, all the Tarsiers are frozen. It must be their defence mechanism, to freeze at the first sign of any danger. My, their eyes are wonderfully big. Aren't they so tiny, though?" Jeff crouched down next to me now, so that he could get a better look. "Hello, little fellow," he said. "You're very cute, aren't you?" Jeff reached a finger out towards the animal to gently stroke him. "Hey!" shouted out one of the other Tarsiers. "Show some respect, please. Don't you know who you're about to stroke? That, my friend, is the great "Shut up," said Dinky harshly, but it was too late. I gave a quick intake of breath in surprise. "You weren't just about to say the great Gabba, were you?" I asked. "Run!" shouted Dinky, but they were just too late. Jeff's hands were already close to Dinky. He now threw himself forward onto the ground, grabbing Dinky's little body and holding him aloft. Two other Tarsiers had taken a pace forward, but stopped as they turned their heads to see their gang leader captured. It wasn't long before the rest of the gang forlornly traipsed out of the shadows that they had been hiding in. They joined the gathering in the clearing. "Put me down now! Put me down now!" demanded Dinky in a surprisingly loud voice. He hammered his little fist down on my person's hand as he spoke, wriggling to get free. "I am not a pet! I don't feel safe!" "Oh, yeah, sorry," said Jeff apologetically. "Just let me turn around and then I can put you down carefully. Now stop. Please don't run away." Dinky jerked himself free and turned towards the safety of the bushes. "We've got something really important to ask you, great Gabba." Dinky stopped, giving himself a little shake, and brushed himself down. He stood up straight, dignity restored, and said more quietly, "Please don't ever do that again. I am not your pet. I am a free animal. Show me some respect." The Tarsiers stood around in a group and stared up at us with their large eyes, all about 15 centimetres high, and all waiting for what we were going to say next. Let's start again," I suggested. "Hello, I'm Ned, and this is my person, Jeff. We are from England, and we've come all the way to Bohol to see you, because we want to ask you about, well, chocolate." It was properly night time now. The night sky above was full of stars, the like of which I'd never seen at home in England. "Yes, I am the great Gabba," Dinkley grandly admitted. "I am a chocolate expert. These other Tarsiers are my loyal friends." He stopped, then relaxed a little. "My birth name is Dinky, but if you're trying to create a living myth of power, magic and magnificence, Dinky is not a very awe-inspiring name." "I understand that," I said, bending my front legs quite low to the ground, so as to be on Dinky's level. "But why would you want to be awe-inspiring and magnificent? What are you doing?" "Why do you ask?" Dinky became guarded once more. "Why do you seek the great Gabba?" he said magnificently. "Okay, Dinky, or Gabba, or whatever you prefer. Let me tell you what we know. In England, there are lots of dogs, lots of packs of stray dogs, who are going around the country stealing old people's mobility scooters, crashing them through sweet shop windows and stealing all the chocolate." "This is unfortunate," Dinky commented, fiddling with an insect, debating whether to start eating it or to continue talking. "What would dogs want with chocolate? Apart from rats and humans, animals are unable to eat chocolate, aren't they? It is poisonous to them." "That's right," chimed in one of Dinky's gang members. "It's the chemical in it called theobromine. It's toxic stuff. We've overheard a conversation with a park ranger in the sanctuary. They were explaining to a tourist why they should not try to feed the animals with chocolate." "That's right," I said. "Some of the dogs have made themselves very ill. They've been destroying chocolate by eating it." I held a paw across my stomach as I spoke, thinking of poor Rufus, who I had found sick in the park in Plymouth. "And they have said," continued Jeff, "that it was you, the great Gabba, who was telling them to do it." "What?" spluttered Dinky, his mouth full of the insect, sending bits of chewed-up legs and wings shooting everywhere. "No, I have never heard anything so silly. I mean, I would never hurt another animal. Well, maybe just a little tiny, He quickly hid the remains of the insect he was chewing behind his back. "But no, I would never tell animals to mess with chocolate. Did they explain to you why they were doing it?" "Yes, they sort of did," I said. "They said that their lives were miserable at the moment. They are all stray dogs that have been abandoned and have to live on the streets. They said that the great Gabba has promised them hope. But first, they would need to show their true loyalty for Gabba by putting themselves in danger. They needed to steal chocolate." I know, it sounds silly, doesn't it? Especially when you say it out loud like that. All the Tarsiers started talking together at this latest news with a babble of tiny voices. "Stop," Dinky ordered. "I need to find out more. Tell us, who is saying this rubbish to them?" "It seems to be some kind of street gang leaders, or messengers as they call themselves. They are dogs that have come from somewhere else that are spreading all these rumours. The gangs are told that Gabba hates humans, and by taking their chocolate, they are taking away some pleasure." "He's sort of right, Dinky," mumbled Atasio with his mouth full. "You've always said how you really hate the people, and you want your revenge on them, for what they did to your father. That's what Gabba means, doesn't it? Divine retribution." "Oh dear," exclaimed Dinky. "That sounds really bad. Yes, I do hate human tourists coming to Bolehole. Some of them caused the death of my father." "Was it by trying to take them away from the island as a pet?" I asked. "Yes." "How did you know?" said Dinky, surprised. "But this whole story seems to have got mixed up by someone, and they're using it to steal chocolate. I can't understand the reason behind the robberies. They have nothing to do with me. I only care about Bolehole and the great secret." All the Atasiers turned their heads towards Dinky and shifted uncomfortably where they sat. "I thought we weren't going to mention that, boss," said Atasier very seriously. "What secret is this?" I asked. "Come with us," said Dinky with a sigh, getting to his feet. "It's easier if I show you. Maybe I can help you to solve your mystery." All the Tarsiers rose, and so did we. They started to waddle off towards the small cave. Before entering, Dinky stopped and turned, addressing us very carefully. "What you're about to see is a very, very big secret. I am showing you because it is important that you don't think we have anything to do with your poor stray dogs at home. They sound like they have been the victims of an enormous and terrible hoax. I am showing you so you can understand what we're really doing, and then you will see why we have done it. Prepare to be amazed." Chapter 22. Amazing. Dinky turned and led us in single file down into the little cave. "Just keep to the path and follow us carefully," Dinky advised. I could see where I was going quite easily. Dogs can see reasonably well in the dark. Jeff, however, was having terrible difficulty. He had to walk along by shuffling his feet carefully, 1 foot forward at a time. He bent down to avoid knocking his head on the tunnel roof. To make it worse, people can't see in the dark. Jeff used the torch on one of his phones to light his way. Dinky was very impressed. "Nice phone," he said. "I didn't know phones have torches. Then again, with my nocturnal eyesight, I've never needed a torch." Slowly but surely, we all made our way down towards the spring. Deep in the caves, the tunnel became complicated now. There were side passages that led off in all directions and gaping black holes, and suddenly opened up above us in the ceiling. We could often hear the sound of gushing running water as we passed the dark opening in the wall. I tried to ignore these worrying underground dangers and just concentrated on the path in front of me. We had to trust this little Tarsier that we had only just met, a Tarsier who had admitted to us that he hated tourists. Suddenly, this didn't seem such a good idea. As we got closer, it became easier to see, and Jeff stumbled and tripped less. The reason for this was a mysterious gentle glow that came from the cave ahead of us. The light became brighter and pulsed gently, although never becoming really bright. As we approached the end of our journey into the hill, we quickly came to see the reason. It was the water. The clear water was bubbling from a small mound and then disappearing down a little rivulet, which led out on the other side of the cavern. The water itself had a bluish glimmer, as if it were lit from inside. There were 1 or 2 cocoa pods lying next to the spring. The group of 6 Tarsiers, plus 1 Jack Russell and 1 human, spread ourselves out in the cavern so that we were all facing the spring. In a hushed silence, we all stood waiting for an explanation. Dinky stepped forward and picked up one of the cocoa pods with both hands. He stood next to the bubbling spring in the centre of the group. The cocoa pod was nearly the same size as Dinky, standing with the pod upended on the floor, his little right arm resting on top of it. "This is where the magic happens," he announced. "There are many caves and springs underneath the chocolate hills, but only one spring like this." "What does it do?" I asked, now very intrigued. "First," he said, "answer me this. What is chocolate made from?" "Cocoa pods," Jeff said, "like the one you have there." "Correct," said Dinky, pointing at Jeff as he said the word. "And do you like chocolate? Do you eat a lot of it?" "I love it," Jeff answered with hesitation. "And yes, I eat it at every opportunity. I especially like dark chocolate, except when there is a nice piece of milk chocolate on offer. Actually, I do really like white chocolate, although I know that's not strictly chocolate because it doesn't really come from the cocoa pod. But I sometimes really like dark chocolate with sea salt. Yes, or with a soft filling, like a caramel. In fact, I get the idea," interrupted Dinky. "But do you like chocolate, Ned? And do you eat a lot of it?" "Well, I love the smell of chocolate," I answered, "and I would love to be able to eat it. But as with all animals, I can't because it's really poisonous." "Yes, and there lies the big problem." Dinky let the cocoa pod fall as he waved both arms as he talked to us. "We animals just love the smell of chocolate, and normally things that we like the smell of are okay to eat. Chocolate, however, naturally contains a substance called what's it called again? Theobromine." The gang member who had said it earlier yelled, "It's called theobromine, Dink. I mean, great Gabba." "Yes, theobromine. Thank you. Dinky continued, and there hasn't yet been any way found to remove the substance from chocolate. In fact, in people, it has quite a nice effect. People like it. But in animals, if they eat chocolate, it can kill them, make them ill. They have to be made to vomit so that it leaves their body, and vets try to flush it out. So the thing is, animals can't eat chocolate. At this point, Dinky paused and looked around at all the different animals that were in the cavern. That is, until now, he announced grandly, raising both of his arms into the air. But how? I asked, astonished and excited by this news. If this were true, this could mean that we could all eat chocolate. Whoever knew this secret would quickly become rich beyond their wildest dreams. Yes, Dinky agreed, very rich, very quickly. But everyone would want to know. Everyone would rush over here to Bolehole and set up the factories and businesses. They would open loads of hotels and build roads and make theme parks for the visitors and take over the whole island. Everything would change, and endangered species and precious rare environments would be spoilt and lost forever. Tarsiers would be taken, so no one must know. It must remain a secret. But Gabba, Jeff said quietly, you haven't told us the secret yet. No, that is correct, agreed Dinky. Show them, great Gabba, an excited Tarsier shouted. Yes, show them your secret. Show them what makes you the one and only great Gabba. Shh, sharply hushed the others. Dinky just nodded, then turned and picked up the fallen cocoa pod. He raised it high above his head and showed it to the audience, turning to face each one. Then he lowered his arms and turned to the spring. He carefully bent down and he pushed the cocoa pod down under the surface of the water. All the watching Tarsiers and Dinky counted aloud. And 1, and 2, and 3. Dinky pulled up the cocoa pod and turned back to face us again. It is done, he announced, nodding and smiling. Personally, I was quite unimpressed. What is done? I asked. All you've done is wash the cocoa pod off in the spring. Should we be impressed? Undaunted, Dinky now reached over into one of the dark cracks in the wall of the cave and pulled out some chocolate, carefully wrapped in dried banana leaves. He broke off some chunks, one of which he handed over to Jeff. One he put on a rock in front of me, and the other he held on to. After the count of 3, Dinky instructed, eat the chocolate. 1, 2, 3. Jeff did not need asking twice and quickly wolfed down his chunk. Dinky, too, ate his. I left mine on the rock in front of me. It smelt fantastic, though. My mouth was watering, but I knew that eating chocolate would make me ill. That, said Jeff, flinging his arms out in excitement and looking up towards the roof of the cave, was the most amazing, the most delicious, the most mouth-watering, the most exciting piece of chocolate that I've ever tasted. It's like the chocolate of my most wacky, wildest, chocolatey dreams. Dinky smiled, and the other Tarsiers chuckled to themselves. You have not eaten yours, Ned, said Dinky. Go on, eat it. Have you not eaten it because you think it will cause you harm? Well, I have eaten mine. Normally, chocolate is poisonous for us Tarsiers too. Go on, try it. It's perfectly safe, I promise. You can trust me, Ned. I am the great Gabba that you have travelled so far to see. My mouth was still watering. I was drooling now. It smelt divine. I really wanted to taste it. Surely a little piece would be okay. Go on, Ned, encouraged my person. I trust him. And then Jeff whispered to me behind his hand and out of the side of his mouth. I noticed a vet just down the road that we passed on the way up. If the worst comes to the worst. Ned, Dinky said in a serious voice, that chocolate is made from cocoa pods that have been magically cleansed in the sparkling special spring of the Great Gabba. The chocolate is now safe for animals to eat. That did it. I would take a chance. I lunged forward to the chocolate chunk that Dinky had placed on the rock in front of me. And my word, wasn't it incredible? It tasted 10 times better than it smelt, and the texture in my mouth was the most wonderful thing I had ever experienced, so smooth and quick to melt. The entire little group waited, looking at me for my reaction. Gabba, you are indeed great, I declared. Even if I dropped down dead in the next few minutes, it was all worth it. That chocolate was simply divine. It is quite safe for animals to eat, you say? Oh, yes, answered Dinky. My father found out about this special spring years ago. It's incredible, isn't it? Dinky beamed at me. It means that even we animals can enjoy the wonders of chocolate. But you can't tell anyone, he pointed out, becoming serious now, because that means that Boho will be ruined by all the visitors, by all the animals wanting some of our chocolate, and by people trying to turn the secret into a business. Well, I said, after a few seconds of thought, there certainly seems to be the possibility of making a lot of money here. Ah, don't worry, Dinky. I won't tell a soul. Your secret is safe with us. But I wonder if we could use the idea of becoming very rich on Bolehole as bait to trap some certain criminals. Now that's an idea, exclaimed Jeff. It could be the bait that we need to trap the chocolate cheats, who would do anything for money. They needn't ever discover the real secret. We could just hint at something really special happening on Bolehole. Hee, I laughed. I think you and I must have a little chat, Dinky. Then our next move would be to give the man behind the newspaper a call, and phone Gizmo too. Let's see if we can set up a very special sort of meeting. Lead us all out now, please, our new Tassier friends. You just can't get a good phone signal down here. And that is where we will leave part 11 of Ned and the Chocolate Cheats by Mark Jarvis. I'll be back soon with the next part of this fantastic story, and coming soon with lots of more videos and stories that are coming your way very soon. If you'd like to subscribe or hit a like, that's always appreciated, guys. Thanks for listening. I'll be back soon. Bye-bye.